Today we're going to talk about politicians rambling on, stumbling all over the place, getting their words mixed up, and not correctly answering a question that was pretty straightforward when it was put to them. Happens to everybody. We're going to look particularly at a couple of examples of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Well, it's now only 44 days until the U.S. national elections on November the 5th. Needless to say, things are getting busy, and the next few weeks are going to be really hectic with lots of activities. This past weekend, Donald Trump held a rally in Wilmington, North Carolina, and he took a chance to try to humiliate and ridicule Kamala Harris. Together with his media partners at Fox News, they basically took a situation and tried to make her look crazy. What happened is, Kamala was interviewed by Oprah on Thursday. It was an hour-and-a-half interview. And during that, she used the word story 9 times. So they basically took a clip and cut it together to make it look as if she'd used that word 9 times in less than a minute, just trying to make her look stupid. I'm going to let you see the video yourself.
Now, let's play it just for a second. Thank you. The Kamala word of the day is clearly story.
It is your story and the story of our friends before you is really, that's the American story, right? In telling your story and being so strong in the way you do it. And both of these stories, for you to tell these stories, this story is a story that is sadly not the only story.
It's unbelievable. It's simply unbelievable. It's like a child who learns one word and then they struggle for the next thought and it never comes.
I'll be the first to admit that indeed she did ramble on a bit and didn't give the most effective answer. She used the word story 3 times in a row at the beginning. But to piece it together like that, that's just ridiculous. Now, when it comes to avoiding answers and rambling on, Donald Trump could teach a master class. Let's have a look at something he did recently when he addressed the New York Economic Council and was asked a simple question and went on at some length, doing everything he could to prove he had no idea whatsoever what he was talking about and that he really didn't care about the question. Here, have a look at this.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that. And we're sitting down. I was we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because look, childcare is childcare. There's something you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country. Because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as childcare is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people, but we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation. So we'll take care of it. Thank you. Very good question. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Trump, I'm reminded of that old story about glass houses and throwing stones. But that's something Donald Trump does an awful lot of. While he was at it in his rally in Wilmington, he also indulged in his favorite one of his favorite activities, which is lying. In this case, it was lying about the polls. It's pretty amazing how he's convinced that people believe him. And I think a lot of his followers actually do. They think what he says is true, when in fact it's absolute poppycock.
But in the latest Rasmussen poll against her, just came out, we're 8 points up.
Here's the actual Rasmussen poll from 3 days ago that he's referring to, dated September 19th, that's Thursday, saying there was no change in the White House race and that Trump still maintains a narrow lead, and he has 49% compared to Kamala Harris's 47%, which is a 2% difference, not 8. Don't know where he gets that.
In the New York Times, Sienna Paul, can you believe New York Times? They can't be happy. We're 9 points up in the Midwest alone.
Of course, one of Trump's favorite ways of lying is the classic half-truth, as he does here with the New York Times polls. Yes, indeed, he's up 9 points in the Midwest, as he said. He's also up 9 points in the South. What he doesn't tell you, though, is that he's down 11 points in the West and 12 points in the Northeast.
In the Emerson poll, highly respected, we're 3 up in Georgia and leading Arizona by a lot, Wisconsin by a lot, and I think we're really doing well in Pennsylvania. That's what the word is.
Winning by a lot and doing really well, the word is. Well, the word of the polls that are being documented is that you're not doing all that well. But who knows? Maybe that's all fake news. Or maybe I'm cheating.
But remember, don't get too carried away. They cheat. That's what they do. They cheat.
And on that note, we'll wrap things up and call it a day. For those of you who are here for the first time, I am a 70-year-old Canadian who's absolutely determined to make it on YouTube. And you can help by subscribing to the channel, liking the videos, watching them all the way to the end, and sharing them with other people who you know. Please come back. I look forward to seeing you again, and have a great week. Bye.